I know the tariffs are supposed to sort of strike fear into the hearts of the world, but that is not the experience that I've had here in Brazil. You know, you bop around here in Brazil and you can clearly see the infrastructure for moving huge amounts of goods out of here and to the rest of the world. There are ships everywhere. There's deep water ports everywhere. One of the things to know about Brazil is that it is ready to step in and supply a bunch of the agricultural products that we in the United States have taken for granted as being the #1 suppliers of. So in the case of crops like corn and soy, American farmers have been selling huge amounts of that to China for a long time. It's a big part of how they stay afloat. But now the tariffs have made it such that China isn't going to want to do business in that way anymore. Well, you know who's ready to step in, take over? This place, Brazil. They can grow enormous amounts of that. If you go up and down the beach here, one of the big beachside snacks is a bowl of corn with sugar on it. They do corn milkshakes. Corn is a huge staple here. And they can grow corn and soy in enormous quantities. Not only that, China is getting ready for no longer needing American corn and soy or those sorts of crops. Because so we grow it in the center of our country and we ship it by rail out to Aberdeen, Washington, a deep water port like that, and then it goes on a boat and goes around to China. Here, they're going to grow it here in Brazil, but China has just completed a big port in Peru, a big deep water port that these crops can be shipped up to, onto a boat, same thing, replace us like that. And that is going to have an enormously positive effect on Brazil's economy. So Brazil is growing. This economy is growing already. It has seen more than 3% GDP growth in the beginning of the 2020s. It's projected to sort of taper off, as was the projection, at 2.5% this year, 1.9% or something like that, 2026. But with this tariff situation, we may actually have had the effect of making this economy stronger because it will be in a position to replace what we provide to a country like China. Now, that's not necessarily going to help everybody, but it is going to have a positive effect on a lot of people. So right now, the poverty rate in Brazil is about 25%, which is a lot. That's a big chunk of the tens of millions of people that live here. But that number is dropping. It was in the 30s in 2021. And it's projected to continue to decline as jobs open up, as the country has invested in social support programs. There's all sorts of ways that the poverty level is coming down, the poverty rate is coming down. The extreme poverty rate is still at about 5%, and that's no good. That number is also coming down somewhat, but it's expected to continue to be really stable in the Amazon region, which is where some of the poorest Brazilians live. And so it's not, there's no, yet again, trickle-down economics is not a thing, and that's not going to necessarily help everybody here. But overall, the picture of the economy in Brazil is one that is not being held, being somehow crushed by tariffs and the threat of it and so forth. No, the BRIC nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, have a really close relationship, and that relationship's about to get a lot closer now that the United States is throwing its weight around. And so in the case of Brazil and China, it's just bringing them closer together in this really amazing way. And driving around here, you can just see ships and ports and cranes and all of the stuff you would need to be ready for replacing us. That's really where they're at.